Over a decade ago, to get everyone talking about your game, you threw a few bajillion dollars into marketing, centered your game around taboo topics, and colored it all in with some of the most mind-blowingly gorgeous graphics to date. Now, a bald guy plays a glorified casino phone game that looks like it's on the PS3, about women doing track and field while LARPing as horses, and pretty much overnight it becomes the talk of the town. Oh, how far we've come. Around a month ago, my friend sent me a little fun video of Northernlion playing some horse racing gacha game. I watched out of morbid curiosity, and a month later, here I am. At the same time, I was running through GTA 5 again for the first time since it came out, which is something that is so not relevant that it's managed to come around to being relevant again, what with its sequel looming on the horizon. I'll be the first to admit that these things are only extremely tangentially related, but I swear that there is a relationship. Look, it'll all loop back together at the end. Work with me here, I just need to get back into making things. I guess I will start with the elephant in the room, which is the horse game. I was gonna put this one off to the end for YouTube retention baiting purposes, but I don't know. I want to talk about it. Umamusume is a gacha game which is a genre that I have never touched before this. It's essentially a character casino, the design built to prey on those with gambling addictions. The act of merely looking at it makes me feel like I am feeding the heart of darkness from Darkest Dungeon. By playing this, I think I am helping some purely evil, malevolent entity find the strength to consume us all one day. Nothing is this pure, and I mean, it's literally a casino dressed up with horse racing. This is not exactly pure-hearted. Make no mistake, this game is ontologically evil. With that in mind, it took me a while to work out why I was comfortable playing it, but I think it's because of the character designs. The simplest way I can think to put it is, characters don't feel like they were made with the express purpose, scientifically manufactured even, to bait Rule 34 artists. Everyone instead has pretty dresses, and in general very few characters even show skin. It feels like the characters were designed to be pretty first rather than hot, and that's extremely refreshing, honestly. Especially given the premise they could have been a lot more degenerate. That being said, the genuinely quite shockingly large amount of VN-style stories that are in Umamusume are pretty standard, ooh boy, the horse girl wants to hang out with me, wish fulfillment slop, though. For what it's worth, the few that I did actually read were not anywhere near as hard to sit through as what that kind of content usually is, so I bestow upon it the title of passably written slop. I have to admit though, the horses being named after real horses while just being like people is extremely jarring. Like I said in the intro, this is just a bunch of people doing track and field while LARPing as horses. I can't tell if I like or hate this about the game. You're gonna notice that I've kind of danced around the actual game part, and that's because trying to sit here and explain the appeal is very hard, as well as very frustrating as a critic. Like, you don't ever control your horse in a race, the gameplay is just watching, but this, like, the watching the races isn't really the gameplay. It's the part that comes before and after that, which is the training. Umamusume is a management game like, I don't know, Football Manager, but focused on one trainee rather than a whole team. You decide who your training partners are going to be via support cards, which you have to gamble for, of course, and then the careers are almost all deciding what training to do and when, maximizing friendships while minimizing the risk of injury. It's pretty simple, but it remains engaging somehow, even though it feels like it shouldn't. I don't understand why I enjoy this, which makes it all the more frustrating because on paper I should hate it. The careers are repetitive and scammy and skill-less, but the sounds, they feel so good. The loop of training, hearing all the fun sound effects, seeing the numbers come up, it's a very condensed number go up gameplay that when boiled down is pretty like flowcharty and simple, but it still feels like I am making a lot of decisions very quickly, which is inherently engaging. Because the races are inherently random, there is always an air of tension that has yet to go away from me, even when at this point I'm pretty much winning every career. After you get your footing, the gameplay loop ascends into being about trying to get good legacies. I am quite shocked that they managed to represent very realistically the life of a racehorse. Just like in real life, either your horse trips and falls once early in their career and they get sent off to the Elmer's factory immediately, or they live long enough to have lots of children. When you finish a career, your horse can be chosen later as a legacy, which is basically a parent. Each horse gets 2 parents, as, you know, happens, and they get bonuses based off their parents' sparks. Getting good sparks is an RNG nightmare that is determined after you finish your career, so the gameplay loop ascends into being just trying to finish a career to trying to finish careers with good enough stats to try to roll the sparks that you want so you can make a Jesus horse girl. I don't know why, but it is honestly pretty fun to log on every day and take 3 shots at the spark machine to see if you get any good legacies that day. I am already winning every career to do this, so I'm not exactly feeling compelled to swipe, but clearly that has not deterred some people. It is a little bizarre to come across the Reddit posts by Giga Gamers talking about how you need to reset your account if you don't have the Kita-san Black support card by the end of the current event. Because, like, the game is not that hard. In fact, I'll take a step further and say that reading guides for how to play this game at all makes me feel something akin to culture shock. It is so weird to me to see people geek out so hard over something like the funny horse girl game. And I mean, if you want to do that and you enjoy it, like, good for you. I'm surprised because I'm not used to this kind of write-up being done for something like this. I'm used to it being done for, like, Long War, and this is not that. There is a lot of waiting, and that's ignoring the connection issues that make me feel like I'm aging. A lot of the daily loop is intentionally arduous to waste your time. Like, one of the things that they have you do every day is to let vodka loose out on the track for 6 laps for monies. It's not really a test, she wins every time, but you gotta do it to stay efficient. These games are designed for you to waste a lot of time staring at them, and this is just one of the many tactics that they use to keep you entranced at the horses running in circles. I think it's important to approach Umamusume from 2 viewpoints: what it's like as a casual, and the intended experience scientifically designed to fish up whales. Casually, it's an enjoyable waste of an hour a day or so. You take your shots at getting sparks, hear the fun sound effects, and maybe do a 10 pull every couple of days. All the other progression, the stars, the potential, the support card leveling is so unfeasible that they become super long-term goals that you don't even really think about. But what they want is for you to find a cool horse that you like, and they do everything that they can to get you to find someone that you think is cool. You start with a voucher that lets you get any of the highest level 3-star horses, so you can quickly get attached to whoever you want. You get paid to watch the VN style stories. They really want you to find someone that you like and get immediately invested in them. They want you to do that, decide, I really like this one, and then to dump money into the gambling machine to get enough statues and or star pieces to level them up to 5. And then to play the game for long enough that you can actually afford the outrageous potential level up prices. Then, ideally, if you can get a career with them that has good sparks, everyone else will literally pay to use your awesome horse as their legacy, so you are socially incentivized to drop a bunch of money so you get the opportunity to show off at everyone else how wicked your favorite horse is. Like, casually, I can recognize that if my favorite horse was a 5-star, it wouldn't really change that much, but that's not even relevant. Their border gets cooler when they level up, their stats get better, and you know, you want that for your favorite guy. Essentially, they're trying to farm emotional thinking so that people drop unreasonable amounts of money on the game. The characters get new drip at level 3, and the level up system is intentionally a confusing mess in the hopes that you'll trip and fall and give up your credit card information. But chipping away at the cost over time is satisfying, even if the reward for doing so is like weirdly not even good. If I wanted to get one of these horses up to 5 stars, it would probably cost a few $100s or more depending on luck, and the result is like stats equal to an extra 2 days of training. As a casual fella, I've found it fun to chip away at the stars and gradually get everyone to 3 stars to see their new drip, but I am not the intended audience. The intended audience are the people who see a potential plus 20 to all stats and then jump for 200 pulls on the slot machine. I find my lack of ability to convey why I like this game very aggravating because I have sat here in front of this script for like a week now trying to put this into words and I just can't. The stats aren't balanced very well, Guts is pretty much a dump stat, and power can be ignored if you want to just rely on RNG instead. The genre itself is evil, the aesthetic and vibe is very far out from what I typically enjoy, the gameplay is antithetical to what I want out of games in general, which is challenge, and yet I still play it every day. So far, at least. I suspect that will not last. If you do find yourself playing it, I encourage you to constantly reevaluate your relationship with it as you go, because you do not want to end up looking like this guy. Make sure that, you know, you're actually enjoying it, and that it's not looming financial disaster over you. And if you ever do consider putting money into the gambling machine, instead might I recommend that you consider putting money into my Patreon instead so that I can eat. Oh, and join the club. I definitely have no ulterior motives for including this in the video. Back in the day, I think a game being pay to win like this was a lot more blatant. I can contrast this with GTA Online actually, because GTA Online has a lot of new content to it that is technically free, but in actuality the grind is intentionally made arduous as hell so that you can convert your real money into fake GTA money so that you can buy the newer, objectively better stuff. That's how a pay-to-win game typically works, like you pay the $5 entry fee or whatever and then you get a blatantly better gun that's objectively stronger than everyone else still has. But with a gacha game, despite it being way more complicated, the end goal is still the same. You're still paying for something that's literally just better than what everyone else has, but it's cloaked behind 8 different currencies and level up mechanics, so it doesn't feel as blatantly wrong that you can do that, even though this is actually just worse, like way, way worse. It's way more insidious than just paying $5 to get a really cool railgun or whatever. Now, time to juxtapose the malevolent evil entity, dressed up as a wholesome fun time, with the serial killer simulator. Bizarrely, it is well written enough that I think you could actually make an argument that this one is actually the wholesome fun time, but only to an extent, though.
No, what you gotta get is my daughter whenever she wants. You're gonna put her on your show and you're gonna make sure she looks good.
Okay, I got a lot of juice in this town, but I mean, I'm not a miracle.
Just do it!
Yeah. Right.
All right, Trace, let's go. We gotta get to the therapist.
I haven't ever actually interacted with GTA Online, and I do not plan on starting now, so this will be covering the single player, which, to put it in the most inflammatory terms as possible, the campaign is a pretty good glorified rail shooter. GTA 6 is allegedly going to come out next year, and there's a lot of lessons that I could have learned from 5, and boy, I hope they did. Playing through it now, it was like the most Rockstar game to ever a Rockstar game. An okay story with some of the best character writing and acting I have ever heard or seen, taking place across missions that hint at an amazing open world experience, with the actual open world unfortunately just being a poor imitation of what the missions make it seem like it is. GTA claims a really expansive open world with lots of stuff to do, but it actually has a really big map and a lot of side missions. Those might sound like the same thing, but there's a very hard-line difference between coming across something that you want to do and walking to an icon on the map and then watching something happen to you. GTA could be an amazing dynamic world with stuff happening all around you, but instead its activities are much more like walking up to a ticket booth to watch a movie, instead of just having the movie happen naturally while you're playing. Over its runtime, GTA 5 has several heists that you do with various prep missions to acquire relevant gear or vehicles for the actual heist. I am a bit of a self-proclaimed expert on heist games with all of my time in Payday and that one really big video that you should watch, so I hope it means something when I say that these are fine. They're fine. They're frustrating that the characters just decide to do them entirely of their own volition, and really without any warning. There's an entire arc where Trevor plans and then performs a heist that goes nowhere and then never comes up again. For one of the heists later on, which is a bank heist, they wanted a set piece where you walk out of the bank with full EOD suits, so in preparation for that moment, you were tasked with ambushing and then stealing a military convoy. This is the only one of these convoys that exists ever, and only when you're on this phase of the mission. This could have instead been a random event that could happen at any time. That kind of encapsulates how I feel about the heists and really the game as a whole. The set pieces that are in the game are awesome and enjoyable for a run through, but once the story is over, the whole game is over. There is nothing else left to do. If the stuff that you do in missions was implemented in a dynamic way rather than only within Rockstar's strict mission structure, we could have ourselves like Game of the Decade. There's all this stuff I wrote down that's just within GTA 5 that could be dynamic, but most importantly, even the police chases, which are the most dynamic system the GTA has, have set pieces that they could take inspiration from, like when a tank gets airdropped next to you during the Polito heist, or when a little bird starts chasing after you when the final act of the game finally starts to kick off. The entire police system in general is pretty flawed in 5. It's really hard to concoct a good, honest challenge for yourself that feels fair. Usually it's too easy. Getting to a 5-star wanted level in the first place is a challenge. It's so easy to just run away, and so to record this footage, I had to cheat to get the wanted level that high in the first place. The police flood any and all streets that they can, but if you go even kind of off-road, it's like suddenly a ghost town. And God help the LSPD if you get in the air, they can't track aircraft to save their life, despite planes being probably the most trackable vehicle in the world, short of like a missile. It's a shame they haven't even found a single pilot yet to contest the Monarch in the sky. These are of course ideas rooted in GTA 5 and the world that it is surrounded with. If these ideas were adapted for a GTA 6, obviously factions and characters would have to change around as it's in Vice City. Trevor randomly affecting things would unfortunately have to go, as he's being replaced with 2 new protagonists that I have severe reservations about. GTA 5's story worked especially well because the characters were not normal mentally. The dynamics between the protagonists really make the story. Trevor and Michael are always at each other's throats, with Franklin playing the straight man to their antics. Michael makes a really great protagonist. He's unstable enough that he fits as a vessel for a GTA player, but he's still normal enough to have a life and a family and things that he cares about, and some of the scenes with him are genuinely pretty emotional. Alongside all of the standard GTA activities, you also see him go to therapy. He's clearly someone that's being portrayed as a person, even if he's someone that's very flawed. And that stands out clearly when he's next to the walking caricature that is Trevor. This is a weird compliment, but also with the power of hindsight, I also appreciate that they look like actual people. They're not sexy top-of-the-line supermodels. Michael, Franklin, and especially Trevor are attractive as well as repulsive in their own ways. I hope you'll understand, then, why it makes me worried when GTA 6's marketing suggests that it's about a romance plot between two normal, very conventionally attractive people. Looking back on GTA 5's marketing, the very first trailer for the game shows that Michael ain't exactly normal.
Why did I move here? I guess it was the weather. We'd play ball and sit in the sun, but, well, you know how it is.
As for these two, they could be pretty much anyone. Their personalities barely come across, apart from the fact that they like each other. A huge amount of the trailers is as close to the definition of pointless eye candy as you can get, both focused on the two protagonists and also on random women. Coming from GTA 5, where one of the three protagonists was intentionally disgusting, it is a far cry. I sure hope the new focus is a farce or a bait and switch, because a reason GTA 5's story works so well is more than just because the protagonists are not well, but also because they are separate people living their own lives, and you see how they collide into each other, from car repossession to the greatest heist of all. That being said, Rockstar ain't ones to play by convention, so I could see this one being twisted in a couple of different ways, like maybe the protagonists are broken up early on, or a new protagonist is introduced that isn't in the marketing. I would personally bet on this dude being pressured into becoming an undercover cop, similar to Sleeping Dogs, which they already did with Michael, but now it'll happen during the story instead of being a reveal in the middle of it, which is not really any better, but whatever. It would be interesting to see the protagonists pitted against each other, which isn't something that happens in GTA 5 at all until the very end, and that's only assuming that you pick one of the two astonishingly short, shitty endings that don't actually wrap anything up. I'd love to see Rockstar try something new with GTA 6 and write an ending that actually wraps things up. It really feels like everything with Steve Haynes is meant to lead to some reveal that he was evil all along and actually using Michael, Trevor, and Franklin, but it just doesn't come. Ultimately, I'd want the ending to explain why the protagonists aren't immediately persecuted to the full extent of the law by every single branch of the government, and having Haynes turn, kind of like he already does, could prompt the gang to get together again and take him down and then be exonerated for all of their horrific crimes. As it is, you walk around town, kill basically every single important side character, and then go home, in a way that feels like it could have been done at any time. The last act is instead focused on the Union Depository heist, which is something that it feels like was decided very early on was going to be the big ending focal point, and then they forgot to explain why it was important. None of the characters actually have a reason or stake to get the money, they're just doing it for fun. I think this was meant to be addressed in the single-player DLC that was planned for GTA 5 that ended up getting scrapped because GTA Online turned out unimaginably successful. According to leaks, it was meant to be surrounding Trevor as like a James Bond agent, presumably working with the government against Koreans, Russians, and Arabs, and so naturally it would make sense that it would contain some semblance of a wrap-up to explain why he and the others weren't immediately hunted down and assassinated after their last act in the story was to kill so many SWAT officers that they literally run out of them. Speaking of wrapping things up, I need to close out this video. Sorry, I've been a little bit of a mess for the last month. I think I can conclude that over the last 10 years, if there's anything that games have gotten good at, it is squeezing money from people. They've gotten increasingly anti-consumer as time has gone on, and we're kinda like the proverbial frog in the warming pot. The pot at this point might as well be on fire, but it has happened so gradually that no one raised too much of a fuss when they could instead show off their really cool knife in CS. I suspect it will keep getting worse, at least in the AAA space. Indie games are still a safe haven of actual creators wanting to make special experiences for people. One of those that I can actually recommend that Northernlion also introduced me to is Super Auto Pets. It's free, and actually, genuinely, really good. It's a lot more worth your time than Umamusume, that's for sure. Thanks to my patrons, Emmy and Potato especially. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill, and play Super Auto Pets. It's really good.